Hi, today I'll be continuing reading Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Illiteracy, both in words and numbers, is the foundation of financial struggle. If people are having difficulties financially, there is something that they don't understand, either in words or in numbers. The rich are rich because they are more literate in different areas than people who struggle financially. So, if you want to be rich and maintain your wealth, it's important to be financially literate in words as well as numbers. The arrows in the diagram represent the flow of cash or cash flow. Numbers alone mean little, just as words out of context means little. It's the story that counts. It in financial reporting, reading numbers is looking for the plot, the story of where the cash is flowing. In 80% of most families, the financial story paints a picture of hard work to get ahead. However, this effort is for not because they spend their life buying liabilities instead of asset. This is the pattern of cash flow in a person's life who's in middle class, and this is what happens if a person is a rich person. Assets get to its income. All these diagrams are obviously oversimplified. Everyone has living expenses, the need for good food, shelter, and clothing. The diagrams show the flow of cash through a poor, middle class, and wealthy person's life. In the cash flow, that tells the story how a person handles their money. The reason I started with the story of richest men in America to illustrate the flaw in believing that money will solve all problems. That is why I cringe whenever I hear people ask me how to get rich quicker or where they should start. I often hear I'm in debt and so I need to make more money. But more money will often not solve the problem. In fact, it may compound the problem. Money often makes obvious a tragic human of flaws, putting a spotlight on what we don't know. That is why all too often a person who comes into sudden windfall of cash, let's say an inheritance or pay rise or a lottery winnings, soon returns to the same financial mess, if not worse that the mess than the mess they were in before. Money only accentuates the flow, a cash flow pattern running in your head. If your pattern is spend everything to get, most likely an increase in cash will just result in an increase in spending. Thus, they say a fool and his money in a big party. A fool and his money is one in a big party. Okay. um I have said many times that we go to school to gain scholastic and professional skills, both of which are important. We learn to make money, our professional skills. In the 1960s, when I was in my high school, if someone did well academically, people assumed his this bright student would go on to be a medical doctor because it was the profession with the promise of greatest financial reward. Today, doctors face financial challenges. I would wish on my worst enemy, insurance companies taking control of the businesses, managed health care, government intervention, and malpractice suits. Today, kids want to be famous athletes, movie star, rock stars, beauty queens, or CEOs because that is where the fame, money, and prestige are. That is the reason it is so hard to motivate kids to school today. They know that professional success is no longer solely linked to academic success as it was once. Because students leave school without financial skills, millions of educated people pursue their profession successfully but later find themselves struggling financially. They work harder but they don't get ahead. What is missing from their education is not how to make money but how to manage money. It's called financial aptitude. What you do with the money once you make it, and how you keep people from taking it from you, and how long you keep it. and how to make that money work harder for you. Most people don't understand why they struggle financially because they don't understand cash flow. A person can be highly educated, professionally successful, and financially illiterate. These people often work harder than they need because they learn how to work hard, but they uh, not know how to have their money work for them. So, how the quest for a financial dream turns into a financial nightmare. The classic story of hardworking people has a set pattern. Recently married, the happy and highly educated young couple moves into one of their cramped rented apartments. In, Immediately, they realize that they are saving money because two can live as cheaply as one. The problem is the apartment is cramped, and they decided to save money to buy their dream home so that they can have kids. They now have two incomes, and they being to focus on their careers, and their incomes being to increase. As their income goes up, their expenses goes up as well. And the number one expense for most of the people is taxes. Many people think it's income tax, but for most Americans, their highest tax is the social security. As an employee, it appears as if the social security tax is combined with the Medicare tax. Rate is roughly 7.5%, but it's really 15%, since the employment employer must match the social security account amount. So in a sense, it is the money that employer can't pay you. On top of that, you still have to pay income tax on amount deducted from the wages for social security in tax, and income you never received because it went directly to the social security through withholdings. So, going back to the young couple, as a result of their incomes increasing, they decided to buy a house of their dreams. Once in their house, they have a new tax called property tax. When Then they buy a new car, new furniture, new appliances to match their new house. All of a sudden, they wake up and their liabilities column is full of mortgage and credit card debit. Their liabilities go up. So they are trapped in a rat race. Pretty soon, a baby comes along and they work harder. The process repeats itself. Higher income causes higher taxes, so called the bracket creep. A credit card comes in the mail. They use it and max it out. A loan company calls and says their greatest asset, their home, has appreciated in value. Because their credit is so good, the company offers a bill consolidation loan and tells them the intelligent thing to do is clear off the high interest consumer debt by paying off their credit card. And besides, the interest on their home is a tax deduction. They go for it and pay off those high interest credit cards. They breathe a sigh of relief. The credit card are paid off. They have now folded their consumer debt into their home mortgage. The payment go down because they extend their debt over 30 years. Is it a smart thing to do? Their neighbors call to invite them to go for shopping. The Memorial Day sale is on. They promise themselves they'll just window shop, but they take a credit card and just in case. I run into this young couple all the time. Their names change, but their financial dilemma is the same. They come to one of my talks to hear what I say, and they ask me, "Can you tell us how to make more money?" They don't understand that their trouble is really how they choose to spend the money they have to. It is caused by financial illiteracy and not understanding the difference between asset and liability. More money Solemn solves someone's money problems. Intelligence solve problems. And there is a saying a friend of mine says over and over to people in depth: if you find you have dug yourself into a hole, stop digging. As a child, my dad often told us that the Japanese were aware of three powers: the power of the sword, the jewel, and the mirror. The sword symbolizes the power of weapon. America has sent trillions of dollars of weapons, and because of this, is a powerful military presence in the world. The jewel symbolizes the power of money. There is some degree of truth to saying that, remember that the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules. The the mirror symbolizes the power of self knowledge. The self knowledge, according to Japanese legend, was the most treasured of all the three. All too often, the poor and the middle class allow the power of the money to control them by simply getting up and working harder, failing to ask themselves if what they were doing were making sense. They shoot themselves into the foot as if they leave for work every morning. By not fully understanding the money, the vast majority of people allow its awesome power to control them. Awesome power. If they use the power of the mirror, they would have asked themselves, does this make sense? All too often, instead of trusting the inner wisdom, that genius inside, most people follow the crowd. They do things because everybody else does them. They conform rather than question. Often, they mindlessly repeat what they have been told. Diversify. Your home is an asset. Your home is the biggest investment. You get a tax break for going into greater depth. Get a safe job. Don't make mistakes. Don't take risks. It is said that the fear of public speaking is the fear greater than the death for most people. According to physicists, the fear of public speaking is caused by the fear of ostracism, the fear of standing out, the fear of criticism, the fear of ridicule, and the fear of being an outcast.